This image is pure nightmare fuel for Caitlin Clark's haters because they know everything just changed. They thought they had her on the ropes. Caitlin was struggling, sidelined with injury, and the Fever were floundering without her. Believed Diana Taurasi's reality's coming prophecy was finally coming true. The haters smelled blood and started taking petty jabs. But then came the Fever's shocking Commissioner's Cup. Winning, everything flipped. No one saw it coming, especially not ESPN, who absolutely humiliated themselves during the broadcast. More on that in a moment. This victory has transformed the season for Caitlin and the Fever in 3 major ways, which I'll break down in this video. But if we've learned anything, it's that the more Caitlin succeeds, the more intense the backlash becomes. And her post-game statement? Just wait, it might turn out to be prophetic. Let's get into what happened, the haters' reactions, and what to expect moving forward. First, those drop A in the comments to celebrate this win. This is what Fever fans expected at the start of the year, but few thought possible. Heading into the Commissioner's Cup Finals, the Fever were supposed to be title contenders with big-name free agents and a Now You Know campaign that basically screamed, "We run this league." Caitlin returned stronger, obliterated the sky in front of 2.7 million viewers. And then the chaos began. A hate speech investigation, a 5-game injury, Dana Office Space Evans checking out while still cashing checks, and brutal beatdowns. From teams like the Liberty and Storm, then came Gladiator Night at Gainbridge, where Caitlin took MMA-level hits with 0 referee protection. Her injury in garbage time kept her out of the Commissioner's Cup, so yeah, no one expected them to beat the Lynx. Which is why ESPN's reaction during the game turned into one of the biggest cell phones of all time.
ESPN posted, I think around the 3rd quarter, at least that's when I was notified about it, that the Lynx dominate the Fever to win the Commissioner's Cup. And I took a screenshot. This is totally my screenshot, so I went and I verified this because I just couldn't.
I verified this myself. They really left that title up for the entire game and only changed it after the final buzzer. Completely insane. But while ESPN embarrassed themselves, the Fever stepped up without Caitlin and showed exactly what they're made of. They fell behind early, but then exploded with an 18-0 run and never looked back. Individual performances were clutch, especially from Natasha Howard, who literally said she wanted to be MVP, and guess what? She went out and did it. Now that's manifestation in action. The Fever essentially pulled an Uno reverse card on ESPN, dominating the Lynx on their home floor without Caitlin Clark in the lineup. And the haters? They absolutely lost their minds, not just because the Fever won, but because Caitlin, despite not playing a single minute, just added a championship to her resume.
The only strike against Caitlin Clark is that she has not won a national championship. And that is the only thing that you can put against her.
You see, the go-to criticism against Caitlin Clark has always been that she hadn't won a championship. That's the excuse ESPN used to keep her out of their top 5 college players of all time, even though she completely rewrote the record books and dragged a mid-tier team to back-to-back national championship games. And while the whole rivalry with Angel Reese has become pointless since, let's be real, they're not even in the same galaxy in terms of talent or impact. Haters have leaned hard on the idea that Angel is superior because she's a winner. Thanks to her LSU title and involvement in Unrivaled, it's been the ultimate crutch in the anti-Caitlin argument. But now, with this Commissioner's Cup win, that narrative just crumbled. Still, if you ask the haters, they're already spinning it. They claim it's not a real championship. And even worse, they say it doesn't count because Caitlin didn't play in the final. But let's be honest, that's garbage logic. Here's why.
They did win the final without it. But it's not like she's Nikola Topic or anything. The only reason they got to the final was because she had a 32-point near triple-double against the New York Liberty. They beat the previously undefeated New York Liberty after a Caitlin Clark masterclass in a game no one thought they would.
Caitlin was the reason the Fever even made it to the Commissioner's Cup final in the first place. She played lights out against the Liberty and made a major impact in the win over the Sun. Her performance in those games set the tone and helped carry Indiana to that championship opportunity. But of course, the haters can't stand it. And the award for saltiest tears definitely goes to the ones crying that the game was rigged. That's right. When the Caitlyn can't win narrative collapsed, they immediately shifted. 2 conspiracy theories. It's almost impressive how fast the goalposts move when Clark proves them wrong.
The real fans, alright? Capitalize the real fans of the W will find out what backroom deal YouTube made to have the Lynx throw this game. Not even cracking 60 points. That isn't even believable to the most naked eye. When we find out, we're coming for your jobs. Full force.
What's hilarious is the selective logic on full display. These are the same people who loudly celebrated Angel Reese's unrivaled championship a pro title, sure, but nowhere near the level or structure of the WNBA, despite the fact that Angel didn't even play in the final or show up to the arena. That didn't stop fans, media, and the narrative machine from handing her a second championship and using it to tear down Caitlin Clark for still having 0 rings. But now, Caitlin plays a crucial role in getting the Fever to the Commissioner's Cup, final day emanating against the Liberty, making key plays against the Sun, helping secure their spot, and because she didn't play in the last game, it suddenly doesn't count. And now, the haters are calling it rigged? Sure, Jan. What really has them shook is that the Fever won on the big stage without Caitlin. Beating the 14-2, Lynx the best team in the league, in the road, in their house, even if it felt like. Carver North, thanks to all the Iowa fans. Right. That win was proof of concept. The leaders stepped up. Natasha Howard delivered like a true MVP. Sophie was clutch. And with Lexi and Aaliyah both having standout seasons, the Fever have legit momentum. No, they're not perfect. Yes, fans can still criticize coaching, but the direction is finally the right one. First, this win takes the edge off the Fever in the best way possible. As the saying goes, winning solves everything. And while Sophie Cunningham recently admitted the team felt like they were on their own islands, nothing brings a squad together. Like a championship even, if it's not the big one. The Fever had to beat 2 of the league's best teams, the Liberty and the Lynx, to get it done. That alone restores confidence. Perfection isn't expected from here on out, but the swagger is back, and it looks like they've weathered the storm, with Ari McDonald now in the mix permanently. The team is far more dynamic than when they had Bonner, who, let's be honest, is now Bonner the Goner. Second, that restored confidence gives Caitlin Clark the luxury of time. There was growing speculation, myself included, that the Fever rushed her to play hurt at the start of the season, may have brought her back too early from injury. Now, there's no pressure to rush her again. You can stay playoff relevant without her for a few more games or even weeks. In fact, fans have been calling for the Fever to sit Caitlin longer to ensure full recovery. The shift in mindset was clear when they announced in advance that Caitlin would miss the Aces game rather than dragging it out as a game-time decision. Third, when Caitlin does return fully healthy, she'll be joining a team that's winning without her. With Ari here for the long haul, they can phase Caitlin back in gradually, rather than over-relying on her and risking re-injury. And here's the bonus: this win has the Fever back in the contender conversation. With cap space available, they're in a position to upgrade via trade. All of this is nightmare fuel for the haters, who had been loving Caitlin's slump and let her know. Anonymously, but unanimously.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting for the All-Star game. The pettiness has no bounds.
Look, there are plenty of arguments floating around trying to justify why players ranked Caitlin Clark as the 9th best guard in All-Star voting. And sure, I get it, they didn't literally rank her 9th. But no matter how you slice it, the result speaks volumes. When you consider how teams are double-teaming her nearly every game, the numbers she's still putting up even while battling injuries and dealing with a few rough outings, likely caused by that. Lingering injury, this feels less like a fair vote and more like a targeted hit job. Let's be real. There is no world in which Caitlin Clark is the 9th best guard in the WNBA right now.
America loves her. The fans clearly love her. The media likes her. But the players can't stand her. 9th best guard in the league. Don't try to give me the excuses of, well, she's been struggling lately, or she missed some games with injury. Come on. This is insanity. And I think it's an activist vote by the women of the WNBA who simply cannot stand her success. It's so dumb and it's so childish.
They were sending a message loud and clear, and for a moment, it looked like they had Caitlin Clark on the ropes. But now, with the Fever's Commissioner's Cup win, everything has changed. Caitlin gets more time to rest, the team is playing with confidence, and the momentum has flipped. The haters are rattled. But it's not fear of playing against her, that's not the real issue. What they fear is what a peak Caitlin Clark and a dominant Fever team represent. Massive attention. We're talking record-breaking viewership, sold-out arenas, and millions of new fans tuning in. And here's the twist while that should be a win for everyone. There are people within the league who don't want those fans. It defies logic, but the truth is, some players and insiders would rather gatekeep the game than share the spotlight. Here's why that mindset is not only flawed, but self-destructive.
To the NBA, but I do feel like the pay gap would be something that, we could just take a donation around the NBA, maybe one night y'all don't go to the casino.
I have something on this though, because it pisses me off. It pisses me off because I don't think there's anyone in America that supports the WNBA more than NBA players.
100%.
This isn't a new clip, but it captures the mindset perfectly. The NBA has invested hundreds of millions into the WNBA over nearly 3 decades without ever seeing a return if not for that backing. The league likely would have folded, even. Last year, with Caitlin Clark boosting interest, the W still lost $40 million. The WNBA has essentially been riding NBA training wheels, staying upright no matter how much it wobbles. Caitlin Clark offered a chance to finally remove those wheels and create something sustainable, but like learning to ride a bike, it comes with bruises. In this case, the bruises are from casual fans who aren't here to unconditionally celebrate. Women's basketball, they're here to be entertained and will criticize players like true sports fans do. You see that with Angel Reese and her missed rebounds? The Lisa Leslie clip highlights a larger issue. Players have grown used to the league existing regardless of profit, leading to hubris and a false sense of entitlement. Instead of focusing on building long-term success and repaying investment, some players are already talking strikes, wrongly assuming the casuals will just come back. Truth is, some don't care if they don't because, deep down, they miss the old WNBA, where the pressure wasn't this high.
And in talking to a source or two, it appears that Bonner was unable to, in some way, shape, or form, just deal with that spotlight, which is right? Yeah. It is.
I have a feeling this is the case for a lot of players. It's not the crowds, it's the online trolls, the non-stop media attention, and the heightened scrutiny that comes with playing in a spotlight Caitlin Clark helped create. Some players clearly aren't comfortable with the pressure, the criticism, the expectations that come with a surging fan base and record-breaking viewership. Oh, but then there's this.
That's the worst part of all this, is the new fans are sucking the life out of the WNBA right now. It's just the truth. You are right. You are right, new fans. There has never been more viewership because of Caitlin Clark. There's never been more attention. They're doing 40 minutes on First Take about Caitlin Clark. They never did that before, as Monica McNutt called out. You're right. You know what there was in the WNBA last year and the years prior? There was other storylines. There was joy. There was talk of competition. There was talk of what was actually happening on.
There are players, fans, and even members of the media who simply can't stand that it's Caitlin Clark all the time. They believe others should be getting just as much attention, and it's not just the volume of coverage that bothers them, it's who is getting it. It's not just jealousy over the spotlight, it's It's resentment rooted in the fact that Caitlyn doesn't fit the image some people wanted to be the face of the league. Her rise has disrupted the established order, and for some, that's more infuriating than the attention itself.
It's interesting, for years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, the media is sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated. And then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like. Iowa girl, Indiana girl. Well, who knows, and I've said this for years, when the wave hits, ride it. You don't know what it looks like.
All of this builds into a clear Caitlyn and the Fever versus the WNBA dynamic. The tension isn't subtle anymore. Caitlyn knows it, her teammates know it, and honestly, the fans know it too. On the icy receptions to the double standards, in coverage and criticism, it's clear she's operating in a league that often feels more hostile than supportive. And if you needed proof, just listen to what Caitlyn let slip after the Commissioner's Cup win. It wasn't just a celebration. It was a subtle but pointed message that she sees exactly what's going on.
Started the year talking about them being a contender for a WNBA championship, and if anything, tonight what I learned is they have what it takes. I mean, they played 5 of their last 6 games on the road coming in here, and if you can win games on the road like they did, in an environment like they won in tonight, the sky's really the limit. And this is a team that's starting to get their confidence. They're showing their depth.
They're sick over it. They're upset. These are the same players who voted Caitlyn Clark as the 9th-ranked guard in All-Star voting, when she's clearly top 3 by any objective measure. The haters are not happy. And with no imminent reality check to force players or critics to acknowledge the impact she's having, the hate is only going to escalate. The physicality on the court will continue, and unfortunately, the refs will likely keep letting it slide. That's why Caitlyn's post-game statement feels more like a prophecy, because with the Fever back in the title conversation, the spotlight is only going to grow brighter. So will the backlash.
Guys, I just know everybody.
The Fever are stronger after everything they've endured, and they'll need to be, because the WNBA soft civil war is still very much alive. It's not going anywhere. Tension, the resentment, the divides all simmering beneath the surface. For Caitlyn and the Fever, there's only one way to silence the noise: winning. They've already claimed the first championship of the 2025 season with the Commissioner's Cup. Now, the mission is clear, go get the next one. If you enjoyed this video, drop A in the comments. You've earned it for sticking with us to the end. Thanks for watching. See you next time.